and welcome to the GPS podcast. I'm Joe Bevanese.
I'm Ernie Schmidt.
And I'm Ken Ury. This is where you'll hear about group practice success and what it takes to get there.
If you own a psychotherapy group practice and want to serve more people, make more money, and work less hours, we can help you navigate the journey and enjoy the ride.
Hi, everybody. Joe Bevanese here with another podcast from Group Practice Success. And today we have a very fascinating topic as usual. We'll be talking today, though, about work-life balance for a group practice owner, an issue that we all have to deal with one way or the other because, especially in the beginning, the challenges and the commitment of time and energy and work are pretty overwhelming, and we have to have a way to balance that with our personal life, our family life, our recreational life, our life with our friends, etc. So Ken, what's been your experience as a very successful long-term group practice owner who started from humble beginnings and has now created a giant empire?
Well, I think there's this notion of work-life balance that we hear a lot in our field, and we promote certainly with clients that our practices see. And there's something really good about that, isn't there? Because what it says is don't dive into work so much that you are losing sight of your family and your other goals or hobbies or interests, and don't have one aspect of your life really catch you up so much that you're taking the eye off the ball, with others. And so that's a good idea, isn't it? To keep things in balance. And I think that there may be a downside to the notion of work-life balance too, because it also might put it into our mind an idea of something that's sort of unachievable as group practice owners. Because as a business owner, as we also know, as if you're a parent or some other kinds of life situations, life by its very nature, or life circumstances at least, it's going to be out of balance. And I think there's some level of being able to accept that, so that when you are doing, for example, an expansion as a group practice owner, and you are getting the space and building it out and talking with contractors and figuring out paint colors and carpet and furnishings and all the stuff that goes in there, and all the hiring and making sure you have the marketing to get the clientele to come in and all of that stuff. And you have a certain date you want to get that done by in order so it all rolls out. And there's a million details to take care of. And this is the story for group practice owners, isn't it? That's one of the things that we're doing, right? That's representative of what we're doing as leaders. I'm going to say, I don't know one group practice owner whose life was in balance during those times. That's a time I think that we need to accept, like other things that come up as owners, to say, you know what, my life isn't going to look like a pie that's cut into, 8 perfectly symmetrical pieces, of this big pie. There's going to be more time put into some things sometimes in our work. So I just think, for me, I need to accept that that's going to be a part of the circumstances of a group practice owner, and that's what I have done. And together with that, the whole notion of life balance or life imbalance, I think that life itself is in balance. When you think about the stars, the moon, the galaxy, the earth spinning, in its rotation, the atmosphere keeping us all with just the right level of oxygen, everything hanging, galactically in place, there is a balance in life that's demonstrated in nature and in our galaxy that's happening on a regular basis. So deeply, we are created from some sort of force or participating in something that is in balance. Now, there may be seasons of change or things that look at one level sort of out of order, but a bigger picture is that things are in order. And I think just reminding myself of that and doing things that keep me centered in the midst of all the things in my life that are sort of temporarily out of balance is really the key for me. So, and I have a variety of ways that I do that. Yeah.
It's kind of ironic because I think most of us try to do a group practice because we're looking for life balance.
Right. I guess that's right.
Right. Like, I think, Joe, you asked me about like passive income, and I was like, oh yeah, it's total bullshit. There's no, passive income with group practice because you're working your butt off all the time.
You're working so hard.
I think that's what you brought up a good point, Ken, that we're looking for this life balance, but you do not find it in the traditional kind of life balance, 8 to 5 sort of job. But I think what you'd find is our satisfaction with life is super high. there was a couple things I was reading about this, and I probably messed up the quote, but it was something like business owners work, 80-hour work weeks, so we don't have to work an 8-hour day. So like we'll work all the damn time, so we don't have to be in the office, when someone tells us to, or that kind of thing. But they say the satisfaction with entrepreneurs and business owners is super high, even though they work their butts off. Mm-hmm. So, and then me and my brother talk about this all the time, just about, I think we're okay with that. Like I'm okay, being away from the office and having to check my phone quite a bit and do a few things. Or, Joe, you mentioned, checking your phone, on family trips. Like sometimes you have to do that, but it gives you that freedom. And to me, I'm happy with that. Like I have no problem. I love what I do. I like my work, and I consider it balanced because I still spend a ton of time with my kids. I travel with them a lot. I have no problem with that, but you can't think of it kind of in that traditional, 40-hour work week kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the concept of balance is kind of misleading because it seems to imply, when I used to feel bad about it, I felt like I had to be 100% running my business and then 100% a husband and 100% a father or friend. And I heard a lecture by Eric Page of Google, and he said he thought that the word blending, work-life blend, made more sense than balance. And that made sense. Because he says whenever 100% of the time, you're always a parent, you're always a husband, if you're married, if you have kids, and you're always a business owner. When you're with your kids, you're still a business owner. And when you're at a meeting, you're still a parent. And so the fact that the three of us have successfully integrated and blended, being, husbands and parents to multiple kids shows that we figured out how to do it. So I like the idea of the blending. And I also like the idea of, it reminds me, when I used to go on vacation, when I was focused on this idea of balance, I said, well, when I go on vacation, I cannot do one thing for my business. Not really a relaxing vacation. So,
good luck.
Yeah. Well, then I'd come home, and on Monday, I'd have 712 emails, and my next week was so bad, it ruined the whole vacation.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I said, okay, every day when I'm on vacation, or most days, I'm going to spend maybe a half hour, sometimes 45 minutes doing some work. And it's easy, it's fun. I don't stress it. And then I have the whole rest of the day with my family. And, my family knows that. And I create very clear expectations. I'll be available at 9:15, and then we have the whole day to go do what we're going to do.
Yeah. And if you needed to miss one of those days, the beauty is you could. Like, nothing's usually like, oh my God, you have to get to your email. But you're right. We just sort of learn to keep on top of those things. And we've decided that is the way we want to live our lives. Not that we're required or mandated to, but that's the balance that we're choosing.
Yeah. And I feel totally relaxed on the vacation. I don't, people say, well, that's not really a vacation. Well, for me, it is, because doing a half hour, 45 minutes of stuff on my computer, or making a phone call or two, it doesn't feel at all stressful. And like you said, I like what I'm doing, and it's fun and easy. And then I can get around my day, and I'm not going to get behind, when I come back to work. But I think, it's different when you run your own business and you're an entrepreneur. That's kind of a fact of modern life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could do it differently, but I think we've decided that is the way for our best success. But Ken, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just really like what you're saying, Joe, about work-life blending. I think it almost even the phrase of work-life balance sets up a false dichotomy, sort of like work is over here and life is over here, and we need to somehow balance each side of those scales. And if you even think about it, it's almost like work, that's kind of bad, and life, and that's kind of good.
Right.
Too, right? The work, the bad, life, the good, as opposed to like, what if my life is my work, and what if my work is my life? And that includes what I do for my business, what I do for my family, what I do with my friends, how I enjoy the things that light me up. And so rather than thinking about that this is work, something that's taking away from life, what if it's the very thing that's enhancing life? And the very things that I'm doing in my life are the things that are enhancing my work too. So there's more of a blend, rather than thinking there's some sort of dichotomy that I need to figure out how I need to find the perfect fulcrum to, balance both sides.
Yeah. Or we develop friendships like the three of us, that we get to talk about business and be with our buddies.
That's right.
Talk about the best life balance there is.
Yeah, living the dream.
When we developed the GPS program, it's a great example. How many days were we together in the mountain of Washington? and we basically talked about it for about 18 hours a day.
Yeah, or the friendships we make with the people that we're coaching, or their friendship with each other. I mean, I think they don't realize the power of that until they join the groups, but they see, holy cow, this is awesome. Like, we get to talk about business and be with people that we really care about, and show vulnerability and really talk about life balance. I think that's awesome. I don't want to forget this. There's one thing you were saying, Ken, about, this blending concept. I do also think the three of us are good at this, and good, successful business owners question their life balance, whatever you want to call it, but question it often, because it can be really tempting to put everything into this, and you really can destroy personal lives or personal finances, and you really can get out of balance in a very dangerous way, right? So I think, I know that I bring this question up a lot, but I just think, hey, can we take a step back, and am I, putting too much time in the business? Am I growing for growth's sake? Is it so exciting adrenaline wise? But hey, wait a second. Are you, looking at the other areas of your life, and are you neglecting those possibly? So I like questioning that. There was an exercise I went through. It's actually out of this book. It's kind of a funny title, well, for me at least, because I'm not Latino, but the title was The Latino Journey to Financial Greatness. It was one of my favorite books. This author is a good guy. And he wrote this book about this assessment was like, what are your major roles in your life? And so he had you write down, like, okay, my role as a father, my role as a brother, my role as a husband, my role as a business owner. And he took you through, and they said, okay, well, rate the importance of these roles, and then rate how well you're doing in those roles from like a 0 to 100%. Like a pretty simple thing. But I did it. I mean, I don't always do these exercises, but I did this one, and it was really cool. Like, it really helped me kind of assess, where in my life do I want to put more energy, and where am I kind of doing? And then talk about the certain steps that you could take. So it might be getting off a little on a tangent, but I thought that was a really cool way of just, we need to take some time and consider, not to let this group practice be this freight train that gets out of control. Because we've seen that, I think, in our coaching and in our personal experiences.
Yeah, and we've also seen, Ernie, that the better we get at business and systems and delegating and time management is that we have more choice, to do the things we most prefer doing. And we're not so consumed, as we were when we first started the group, like Ken was saying, when you're doing a build out, or when you're just even the first year or two of the group practice is so time intensive. But I think we've all learned just the amount of time we take off now every year compared to, when we started. It's not even close. And that's because we have the balance, because we've learned to be smart, successful business owners who have been able to delegate, hire really competent people, delegate a lot of tasks, and create more time and freedom to do the things we most prefer.
Yeah, and working really hard to keep those systems in shape so we can get the balance and the freedom that we want. But I think it's hard to see it often when you start, but I agree. I think we're all closer. I still could be more removed, but
you only take 10 vacations a year, is it?
Well, I've always been good with my vacations, but
well, that's what I'm saying. So don't minimize that when you say it could be better. A lot of people listening to this would be thrilled to have 6 vacations a year or 4. Yeah,
that's true.
I think that's one of the notions too about thinking about vacations. People think about work-life balance. They think, well, I will have my balance when I get to have my vacation down the road. That's 2 months out, and then that's when I will find the balance. And I think that's misguided. I think we need to find our balance every day. And we have our indicators of our feelings and our emotion and our energy telling us every day about how aligned we are internally. Yeah. And to wait for the vacation to wherever sunny, sandy beach, but I'm going to gruel it out until then, I think it will take us 3 days to come off the business train once we get there. And then, we have to ramp back up when we get back. So I think vacationing is one great thing, but we cannot rely on it to provide us work-life balance.
I have a lot of feelings about that, Ken, because I think about the same thing when it comes to retirement. People have a very similar concept, right? Okay, I'm going to work my butt off till I'm 50 and just kill myself, ignore my family, and then I'll really have a good life. And I just personally can't stand it. I know I don't always know nobody's situations, but for me personally, it's just not the way I was raised. I was raised of you try to live your life throughout it, and you maybe don't retire. Like maybe you enjoy your work so much that you just work less. And so I feel like the three of us, I mean, Joe, you're already kind of in somewhat retirement age, and you're doing that. It's like you continue to do this, and you've lived your life, and you've taught us that you don't sacrifice for the future. You live it now. and maybe you slow your growth rate down a little bit. But I don't see it as a sacrifice. I see it as just, we better enjoy it now and don't sacrifice so much in the here and now.
Yeah, that's funny what you said, Ken, about vacations. I remember when I had what I call a real job. I guess this is a job, but when you get 2 weeks vacation a year or 3 weeks vacation a year, and you have to schedule it ahead of time, and it did used to feel that way. Like, well, this is my time to finally have fun and relax, and it would take 3 days before you'd even start to unwind from the stress of your job. So one of the great things about group practice is that you have so much more flexibility, to take time when you need it and want it on a regular basis, to practice self-care on a daily basis, which again, I think is a big part of work-life balance, so that you don't get burned out and that you don't need to feel like it's this black or white thinking with work and free time or work and recreation. So I think that's one of the benefits. I mean, we don't talk a lot about time off, but one of the great benefits of a successful group practice is the more you do it and the bigger you get and the more successful you get, you have so many more options to take time off and do what you love to do.
Yeah. Been a lot of growing along the way of, learning how to delegate and getting rid of your fears there. So there's so much to do to get there. But yeah, I mean, I think we all are building this for the life balance. The other thing I was thinking, one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast on life balance is we had that podcast on tracking. And I was remembering that we're showing how hard driving we are and how hard we work. And we look at all the numbers, but we also have this side of us, which maybe is the soft side of us, that we really love this life balance piece, that we work our butts off, but we do it in a way for the end goal, which is, enjoying the fruits of our labor, making sure that our families are taken care of, making sure we're enjoying our lives. So I just thought it would be important to balance that out, that a lot of what we talk about in coach is not just, hard driving growth and success, but it's success in this way. That in some ways, which is, I think, the most important thing, more than money or anything, it's just sort of the freedom, the flexibility. And then great, you can get some good money too, which, I think has to be part of the puzzle.
Yeah, we talk in GPS, our group practice program, about lifestyle design as one of the key elements that we get people thinking about. And a lot of people have never even thought about that they could design their lifestyle.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, that kind of started this whole trend of people thinking they didn't have to work, 40 or 50 hours a week till they're 65 or 70, but that they could actually design a meaningful, creative, enjoyable lifestyle at any age. And that's partly what we do with our GPS program.
Yeah. The other day I wrote down this question for this podcast. So are you living the exact life you would want? Are you living the exact life that you would choose? And sort of being thoughtful about that, because if you're not, which maybe we're not, that's okay, but really doing that kind of assessment and then being thoughtful. Okay, well, what can we do differently about it? And what's in our way? And I think with group practice, there doesn't have to be any obstacles to changing that. You really can make adjustments. And I don't know, I feel like that's what we do as coaches. It's like I ask those questions all the time. Well, let's find a way to make that happen. And
Yes.
I just love that kind of freedom. I've been addicted to freedom my entire life. Maybe it's the youngest of all these brothers and sisters. I don't know. But I just always didn't want anybody to tell me what to do. And this is kind of the ultimate.
Yeah, and I love the notion of having the freedom not at some point down the road. It's not sacrificing that, because that's true too, but that we have that sense of freedom and fulfillment and joy and love of life today, now, in this moment. And again, that doesn't mean that there's going to be temporary things that are difficult and challenging in this now moment as well. But I think we have a pretty good dashboard internally to let us know when we're on balance and when we're off balance. And when we're getting off, we just know that we need to plug in more with our self-care, those things that we have established with reliability that light us up and give us more energy. And that is something that keeps us in balance and energized to do those things that we need to do for group practice on this journey today, on the way, enjoying the ride, really, not just the destination.
Yeah.
No, that's a great way to end our podcast, Ken. And I think, again, in our GPS program, we really stress the fun part of it. I think, some of the people I've coached, they just seem like they just work and work and work and work, and they don't have the balance that I think the three of us have embraced. And we know we have a lot of fun together. We have a lot of fun in our lives. We have a lot of fun when we're coaching, and that should be an integral part of work-life balance and of growing a group practice. So thanks for today's podcast, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye now.
Great. See you later.